33 on Triple R, sounding fabulous from a few years back, and their album Cinder. And Doris, Warren Ellis, good to have you back in Australia. How long since you have been here?
It must be. When was that? February or March?
What was Leng? We were just saying Laneway's festival.
The Laneway. I was out here then for a couple of weeks. I think doing ocean songs and playing with the Laughing Clowns.
Yes.
And a couple of those festivals, the Laneway thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and well, it's a while then, isn't it, since you've been back home?
Well, it is and it isn't actually. It's not that long ago in the scheme of things, but a lot of stuff's happened between then and now. Yeah.
Yes, it seems like you've probably had a crazy busy year. Has Dirty Three played a lot in the last 12 months?
Actually, we haven't played since then, I don't think.
Is that right?
From memory, no. No, Jim's been off. I think he's been out playing with Cat Power and stuff, and amongst other things. And I don't think we played. We actually recorded. We started a recording after that, and nearly finished it, but didn't quite finish it. So then I had the Grinder Man record coming out, and that took up the better part of the last half of the year for me. So. All things going to plan, we'll finish the recording next year.
The new Dirty Three.
Dirty Three, yeah.
It's probably one of the longest breaks you've had, isn't it? Since it's been, what, 2 or 3 years since the Dirty Three album?
It's probably been a while, but it's just worked out like that. As you get older, and we've all got different things going on, and we live in 3 different continents. And it's not as simple as a phone call to get together, so it's just how it's worked out, and we still care enough about it to want to keep doing it. So
and it keeps it fresh.
It does. Yeah. It keeps it fresh, and to be honest, I don't think any of us fancy the notion of being out touring like we used to. I mean, that was last century when we did all that, Karen. That was like it was a long time ago. So.
You looked a bit different then too, Warren.
I did, yeah, I did. I was
didn't have the bushranger look.
No, I didn't. No, I did look a bit different. But it's just how it's worked out. I mean, I'm just sort of happy that it's still going, and we still are kind of enjoying playing together. And I think also the fact that we all do so many other things outside of that, it just feeds the whole thing. I think that was always the kind of great thing that we had going on, was this sort of understanding that within the group we could do other things, and that's, I think, just helped everything that we do.
Yes.
I think we all kind of understood that we were in it for the music, for the reasons, for those reasons, and certainly I think everything that we all do comes when we come together collectively. It just helps that.
You were dabbling with some singers on that Cinder album, weren't you? You had Cat Power.
It was a very kind of brief
toe in the water.
Yeah, it was just an idea, really. That we played around with, but it was just actually to try something a bit different.
Yeah. Well, my question was, is it still the Dirty Three if you have vocals?
Yeah, I mean, I think early on when we started off, first up, in the early 90s, and people kind of liked what we were doing, but they said, well, it'd be good, but you should get a singer, and we'd always just felt that there was something lyrical enough, and there was a narrative going on there, and then we enjoyed the kind of space that it created for us as playing wise, not that we had to follow a kind of regular structure in the music, and it just seemed like there was enough people out there with singers in there, so it was just a simple decision like that, and we've actually always just decided to stick with that. We have the odd people from time to time get up and sing with us, but it's kind of made it a different musical journey for us. It
seems actually incredible now, considering the sort of trajectory the band has had and how successful you've been as an instrumental outfit, that someone would, that you would have it suggested to you that you needed to have a singer.
Well, I think it's just that things go in cycles, and I mean, I guess if you're a gambling person, you probably wouldn't have bet on it, but if it was in the 70s, you probably would have. It's not a new thing. It was just, it's just when it comes around. I mean, it's just every other group seems to be instrumental.
I was just going to say that in the early 90s, what do we have? We were coming out of the whole grunge thing. A lot of music was vocal driven. It was pretty heavy, sort of rock and roll.
Well, it's just, yeah.
And then this whole post-rock thing kind of happened in Chicago with groups like Tortoise, etc. And then all of a sudden, a whole new area of kind of contemporary independent music opens up, which is about instrumental music, really.
Yeah, there was that thing, and yeah, like I said, you know, it just depends. Seems to be a matter of where you are within there. You know, it's always been around, and that sort of came up and went away again, and you know, it's just how it goes. It just goes on, and you.
Do you remember Dirty Three songs when you come back to record? I mean, it's a bit different from having a singer where you can sort of group the sound around the vocals, but your stuff is so
pretty
fluid.
But pretty much every band that I play in, whether it's, you know, the Bad Seeds or Grinder Man or Dirty Three, we generally get together for a couple of days to rehearse, and we might have to listen to a song or look at something, but it sort of falls into place pretty kind of quickly. You might need to brush up on a few chords and things like that, or, you know, re-listen to things, but it's surprising how it does come back. And I think particularly with Dirty Three, because we spent such a long period of time actually playing so much in the 90s, up until the end of that, actually the 90s and beyond, actually, where we were just touring all the time. And we kind of developed our craft and our language on pretty much in front of people live. So it's something that, you know, it seems to keep coming back, that relationship. So,
yes.
You know, hopefully it continues.
What are the new songs like?
I think we've tried to actually go back to more. I mean, it seemed like the albums were working more and more to being structured, the songs, and shorter, and we've tried to spread them out again, and I guess where we're more playing off each other again, and there's an aspect of some structure, but also improvisation going on within there. It sounds quite different. I think, again, you know, there's a different thing going on. It's interesting when we get back together, because all the other things that we do really affects, you know, how we play together, and also gives you a chance to rediscover what's really unique about the way that the three of us play together.
Yes. You've been playing over the last 6 months with Grinder Man, pretty much on the road,
last 3
right?
months. I played in Los Angeles last week. We just wrapped up an American tour and a European tour before that. I've been pretty much out since early September with the new album.
Yes. And how has the Grinder Man sort of experience, like how does that sort of feed into Dirty Three?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it's
raucous.
Well, it's very loud. It's a different kind of thing, it's I don't know. I mean, it just feels like it's another way of for me, you know, it's a great way for me to be doing different things. Yes. You know, playing instruments that I don't normally play, and I guess just creating atmospheres that are different to what I would do, and it's also a very leaner outfit, and kind of it's a different kind of idea, actually. Yes,
let's hear from the Grinder Man album, then we'll come back and talk a little more about it. I love this track, The Bell Ringer Blues.
Oh, okay.
Kind of psychedelic.
It is kind of, isn't it?
That's Grinder Man on Triple R from the latest Grinder Man release, Grinder Man 2, which came out this year. Warren Ellis of Grinder Man and Dirty Three, and also playing, of course, with Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, is with me in the studio. Dirty Three are performing at Meredith this weekend.
We are indeed.
But
20 years of Meredith.
How about that?
It's amazing.
Yeah. How many times have you performed there?
Well, if I said 3, it could be 4, and if I said like 4, I don't know, actually. I know the first time was early in the 90s when I was living with John Nolan from the Powder Monkeys, and they were playing down there. And I remember Hoss were playing at in the first years of it. If it wasn't the first, it was the second year. That must be that. So yeah, and I think we did it at some time after that. I know it was before we left Australia, so it must have been early 90s when we played it the first time. But I think we've done it 3. This might be the 4th time.
Many people remember the Lightning show
well,
a few years ago.
There seems to be a certain fondness for the Lightning year, which totally went over our... We didn't actually see
it. It was
that.
over your heads,
literally. It was
literally,
over our heads, and we didn't realise what was going on. We just thought we must have been carving some damn fine moves up there.
You're conjuring up the gods.
Suddenly it was like it was just actually all the lightning was doing it, stole our thunder. But,
Dirty Threes seem very suited to outdoor gigs like that, though.
Well, I must say we have a real fondness for playing that particularly Meredith as well, because it's just such a kind of unique festival. I think the only other one I know of is like All Tomorrow's Parties. That has this. There's something that seems like the
community sense around it.
Well, and that the organisers are kind of interested in the musical side of things, and there's some thought that's gone into it. And I mean, Meredith seems particularly kind of special in that it's still BYO, and it's still and you go out there into the kind of the countryside with the tent, and and
this year
it's going to rain,
slosh around in the mud.
Yeah,
this year,
it's going to rain,
messy.
and I still remember the last time we did it. Actually, that year I'd just been playing a show the night before in Greece with the Bad Seeds. Literally flew in to do it and got off the plane and went out to Meredith, and it was like all hell was breaking loose. And I saw Matt High come running up to me, and his eyes were just like flying saucers. They were so big, just the adrenaline. And he just looked at me and he goes, "I think they're going to pull the plug this year."
Right.
And I said, "Why?" And he goes, "Look." And there was just this like blackest thing you've ever seen hanging over, big fat sheep hanging over the sky.
Yeah.
And I said, what do you suggest that we do? And he goes, "Just get up and play, And the rain somehow hung off, I think, or something happened, but they didn't get closed down. But it was a very exciting. It's a very exciting festival, and people seem to really love going to it.
Yes.
Which is
great.
It's
the size of it as well, as distinct
the size,
from.
And it doesn't have that sort of sponsorship thing going on to it, and. As we all know, in this day and age, it's harder and harder to hang on to those ideals, and respect to anybody that does.
Well, it has you're coming back to play the big day out, aren't you, with Grinder Man?
Yeah.
You're going to be playing in the tent, which is a great spot really for big day out, and a festival with a very sort of different dynamic. But always, I'm sure that the Grinder Man thing will be able to fill that big tent. Grinder Man has such a kind of incredible energy about it, doesn't it?
It's very loud. Yeah, we just finished the American tour that was and the European tour, and it certainly gathered some momentum as it went along. It's pretty breakneck.
Yes. Was it very different making this new Grinder Man album?
Well, we approached it in the same way as the first one, going in and sitting down and just playing for 5 days and non-stop. We start at like 10 in the morning and finish at midnight and just record everything. And then at certain points throughout the day, we sit through and try and find stuff in amongst like absolute nonsense that can just go on for hours and hours, try and find moments that sound different to anything that we've done or heard before. And I guess like in the way those sort of electronic Miles Davis albums were done in the 70s, where they get snippets and then try and use them and work with them. And so we approached it in that way, but I think the fact that we already had done one album before that had sort of given us some kind of identity. We were very sort of keen to move on from there and hoped that it went in a different direction. And
it's more expansive, this album.
I think actually we were able to probably take more risks with it, and certainly we'd played that first album and got to kind of know instruments a bit more, because Nick he hadn't been playing the guitar long, and I hadn't been playing all the other stuff that I was playing much longer.
What are you playing? You're playing the electric bouzouki.
Well,
is that right?
I've got a bouzouki, but I've got a little 4-string Mandocaster and a tenor guitar now.
A Mandocaster is
it's like a mandolin with
Yeah.
4 strings instead of 8, but it's
Okay.
an old 50s thing that I've got. And
An antique, is it?
And well, it's just a 50s. It's
Right.
they started making them in the 50s.
Okay.
Well, anything sort of made before the 80s is antique now. So yeah, I guess so.
It's vintage.
I mean, all your kind of records are antiques now.
Yeah, that's right. They are.
My children find it hard to believe that there was a time they wanted to know, how old was I when I got a mobile phone.
Right.
Or you try and tell your kids that you were 40 when you got a mobile phone, when their mates have got them and they're like 8.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you kind of existed in
the cave era.
Dinosaurs or something. It's amazing.
Come from a cave.
Yeah.
It'll be more increasingly like that the older we get, I think, Warren, as our kids grow up. But
Yes.
back to the Mandocaster.
Yes.
So you enjoy playing it because?
Oh, well, it gave me a different way into things. I mean, I still love playing the violin and electrically and an acoustic, the soundtrack, the stuff that I've done, I use that and using electronic, the loops and things like that. But playing this sort of instruments in this position gave me another way into playing. And I like to buy stuff and just see if I can get a tune out of it or something or use it for something. So it just gave me a different approach to things, and I was able to come in from a different way and bring different ideas into the sessions and things like that.
That's a lot of freedom it gives you, Grinder Man, isn't it? As against, your other projects.
Yeah, it does. It's a different. I mean, I play very little violin on that actually, and that's kind of great for me to, be out there doing something different. And I've designed a guitar now,
Have
and
you?
that's
Who
gone. It's a Canadian company. It's a little 4-string guitar that's out now, and it's in thing now, and so
it's in production, is it?
Yeah. They've already done a run, and
Is it carry your name or what's it called?
Yeah. It's got a little picture of me on it.
What's it called?
Well, the Warren Ellis signature guitar.
Right. Okay.
Tenor guitar.
Yeah. So people can find it online, I suppose.
It looks good with any coloured clothes.
Right. That's very important.
Yeah, it's very important.
It's not paisley though.
No, it's not. No,
because that doesn't match.
No, there's only one person who can pull that off.
Yeah.
He worked with the king.
Right. You mentioned the instrumental stuff you've been doing. Let's jump into something you did recently, because you've been doing a lot of film soundtrack work recently, haven't you? You've done 3 films and a bunch of docos.
A bunch of docos and 3 theatrical productions with the same Icelandic company called Vesturport. Nick and I did the music for Wojciech, and then Metamorphosis, which is on in Brooklyn at the moment, and Faust as well. We did 3 plays with them, Vesturport, a really kind of great, energetic company.
Right, okay. So theatre.
Yeah. Really wonderful group of people. They're connected with the Lyric Theatre in London.
Okay.
So we've done 3 things with them as well.
Fantastic. So that's a new thing. Well, actually, way back when, before Dirty 3 started, you were doing a bit of that sort of thing, weren't you?
Yeah, I did do a little. I started actually doing that, working with theatre groups in the 80s. I used to do that because I played instruments that didn't really seem to fit into the rock world, and I started working with a couple of theatre groups and doing some stuff. Yeah.
So everything goes around and comes around, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess so.
This is from the soundtrack to The Road. I thought we were going to hear something from The Road, but in fact that was from The Proposition, another one of the fine films that has been scored by Nick Cave and Warren Ellis, together with John Hillcoat. And Warren, you now have, I guess, quite a substantial relationship with him as a director. Obviously there's some sort of simpatico.
Well, Nick certainly had one with him from years back, doing Ghosts of the Civil Dead and Having to Hold, and I mean, I've worked with Nick on the last 2 films that he's done, and there's talk of a possible future one. So, John's done a lot of the film clips as well. He did the Gladiator, Heathen Child.
Yes,
film
I've seen
clip.
that. It's crazy.
And there's Nick and him have a long-standing relationship.
Yes. Well, I mean, I really loved the music that you did for The Road, one of the latest films that John Hillcoat has done. And, you know, what's it like for you, I suppose, you know, in terms of the freedom that you have to compose when you and Nick sort of sit down to work through these sort of soundtracks?
I think the way that we approach it is I think a lot of composers, they'll sit down and will like spot the film and write music for particular incidents, and it's music that's just, if it's 15 seconds or 30 seconds, that's all that they'll do, and it's all done, scored out, and then played, and that's it. And actually, it's a skill that we don't have, and all the music that we do is generally realised and played, and it's a kind of approach like we did with Grinder Man. Was we would go in and sit down and just start playing, and we try and find music, and then we work with the editor and try and place it on the images and see what it does. It's, I guess, a more improvised way of doing things until it starts narrowing down to like, okay, well, we need something at this cue here, and then we'll start trying to find something. But I guess we try and keep that open. We talk about it quite a lot beforehand of what instrumentation it might be needed. And talk with the directors, well, you know, either John or with Andrew Dominic for Jesse James. But there's also, you know, that thing that's very different to making music for a group is that you're making music for something else, and that's a film, and you're serving something else, and that's in many ways, you know, dictating what you need to be doing. So it's quite what the thing I found, which I hadn't anticipated doing the film work that I've done, was that it was actually very liberating as opposed to being very stifling. I thought it might have felt kind of hemmed in, and actually it was very liberating to break through that feeling and then just go like, okay, we've got to make something for this. And the Jesse James film in particular was kind of really important for that.
Right, I haven't seen that actually.
The assassination of Jesse James.
Yeah. The thing I liked about the music you did for The Road was the book is so harrowing in many ways. I mean, there's a beauty at the centre of that book in terms of the relationship between the father and his son, but the actual landscape of the book is it's emotionally harrowing, and the film was the same. But the music itself provided a real kind of counterpoint to the bleakness of the film, which was very successful, really. Otherwise, it might have been just a bit too hard to watch.
Yeah, I think there was a point where, with talking with John, where we sort of made a decision to have an element, like to have the music bring that element into the image. And also, we were very careful with that we didn't over-egg the whole thing and make it too sort of unbelievable and too sweet. And that, I mean, we actually really took a lot of care with that one, because, you know, we'd really loved the book, and I think, we really tried to be careful with that one and sort of try and protect it.
Yes.
That one in a way.
Yes.
Because I mean, the story is very bleak, but in a way, the whole basic premise there of the relationship and the love between a boy and his father.
It's very optimistic. Yeah.
Yeah, and also too, it could be set anywhere. Whether it was set, the apocalypse just like kind of makes it all that more kind of focused.
Yes.
But it could have been set in the back blocks of, you know, Yarra Glen or something.
Yes.
And you would hope that love was still there, and I think that I think that the setting of it just highlighted that thing. So, and I think that John it seems like he tried to concentrate on that as well within it, that came out, and we tried to support that. And the other side of that was there was also a lot of music that was constructed from electronic stuff that was constructed. I made at home, trying to kind of imagine what might be left after everything had all gone to hell and back. So, you know, I was recorded lots of water boiling and sort of weird sounds and treated them and that, and they make up a lot of the kind of atmospherics and things in there. And it was actually quite. There was a cerebral aspect about it as well, the construction of it. And then we wanted the themes to be just very simple and pure, and not. it was a straddled a fine line,
Yes.
as those things can do.
Yes. Well, I imagine that you must be in demand for a lot more film soundtrack work and theatre work and all sorts of things. You are incredibly prolific at the moment, Warren. Incredibly,
I've been
incredibly
very lucky,
busy
I
at this
think.
point in your life, aren't you?
Yeah, I have been busy, and hopefully there's more to come, up ahead. I mean, hopefully it'll continue.
Yes.
But while it's there, I'm very keen to keep developing things if I can, if it feels like it is developing. And branching out just seems to be the thing to do, if I can, to try and keep furthering things.
Yes.
Because it all informs
Everything else.
everything else,
Yes.
yeah. So, if I can go into a different area and bring that back, then that's great, I mean, there's talk of more things coming up, so that's
Anything you can
all
give us the drop on?
No, I can't actually. I'm not allowed to talk about any of it at the moment.
Okay.
It's always that sort of thing that until those things have got the green light, let's all go ahead. But there's the prospect of some really exciting things coming up. Yeah.
And Bad Seeds, what's happening in terms of that?
I'm not sure at the moment. I mean, we with this Grinder Man thing, we'll continue till we'll do summer festivals in Europe, and I'll finish this 33 album, and I imagine there'll be some move forward with a Bad Seeds album. What shape that will take, I don't know. It's depends on Nick when he sits down and feels like he's got some songs. And now with Mick not being in there, it's I'm not really sure what's
how it's all going to work
formation
now.
is. Yeah. It's a kind of but I guess that's further down the track.
Yes, yeah. And so back to Paris for you next week.
I go back next week. Yeah, I go back next week. Stick on the beard.
What do you mean stick on the beard?
Do the sander.
How can't you just put a bit of talcum powder on it or something?
Yeah, I'll put it on the white one. Well, they'll know who I am. And then come back out here.
Yeah.
In January.
Yeah.
This was just a kind of quick week.
Come back
to do the festival.
Yeah,
it was kind of felt probably as close to a homecoming as we'll ever get. So it just felt like the right thing to do.
Yeah. Well, I hope you have a great time at Meredith. I'm sure you will. It's a fantastic place to play.
It's going to be great. And, I just hope it rains.
I think, well, apparently I have a bulletin here about anyone who's heading off to Meredith. Due to the recent rainfall, it's an understatement, there's going to be limited mobile phone reception at the festival. So,
well, that's good.
Yeah, so you're not going to be able to call in and out, basically.
One of the more depressing aspects of playing these days is looking up and just seeing a sea of kind of phones up there, iPhones recording, but actually, that doesn't affect you, the signal, does it? So that just happens.
No. It just all gets chucked up on YouTube.
There's a great website up.
Yeah.
Can you swear on Triple R?
What's the address? Go for it.
The swear word is in the address.
I think you'll be fine. Go ahead.
Well,
if you've got tender ears listening, if you've got tender ears, turn off for a minute.
Well, I've said this word a few times. It's not the greatest thing. Anyway, it's the C word.
Okay.
And it's the C at theconcert.com.
Oh, okay.
And you take a photo of that annoying person at the concert
right.
that's like sitting there talking or singing along really loud with the band, or filming. You take a photo and post them up on the internet. Yeah, it's a great one.
Yeah, I've been next to that person a few times. Yes.
Well, stick them up on the internet.
Yes. So anyways, read the mobile phones. It says, please arrive in a convoy to camp together because you might not be able to contact each other at the venue. A message board will operate from the info centre for important messages. A shuttle service will operate to transport festival goers to a part of the district that has mobile reception. So you can get a bus to somewhere where you can make a phone call. And I'll give you some more info.
Like if you've forgotten your toothbrush or something, or
Mum, can you please bring in my toothbrush?
and
Indeed.
Really, it sounds like almost going to the moon.
That's
it's like rescuing those miners, isn't it?
That's it.
It's almost as sort of exciting as that.
I've been bogged at Meredith.
WikiLeaks is about as exciting. Wow, how
this
exciting
is
that?
This is bigger than WikiLeaks, isn't it?
Oh, that's the most exciting thing I've seen.
Yeah,
in ages.
WikiLeaks is the most interesting thing.
So wonderful.
That's been going
Amazing,
on for a long
isn't it?
time. Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. I hope someone's making a documentary.
You just keep
about
hitting
the whole
refresh
thing.
on the internet. It's
Yes,
like, wow.
yeah, Assange the outlaw.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story. Thanks for coming in,
Yes.
Warren.
Lovely to be
Warren
here,
Ellis
Karen.
from Dirty Three has been with us here at Triple R.
Well,
and
always a pleasure to come into Triple R.
It's always a pleasure to have you.
One
Come
of
in
the greatest
again.
radio stations on the planet Earth.
See you later.
Bye.